Good morning, students. I am Sudarshan from Salem. I have a lot of experience in teaching science in CBSE. So, I want to share my knowledge for CBSE students as well as the state board students. So, this is the first chapter of CBSE, Chemical Reaction and Equations. And the same chapter you can see in the matriculation book, Samachir book, chapter 10, Chemical Reactions and Equations. So first of all, we have a lot of questions. What is chemical reaction? And so many things. What is the evidence of reaction has occurred? And what's a chemical equation? What are reactants? What are products? What is catalyst? And what are the information you found in the chemical reactions? And even many questions you can answer after the watching this video. So please carefully watch the video and subscribe my video and press the bell icon. First of all, what is chemical reaction? So before I want to introduce the chemical reaction, I want to say something about chemical change and physical change. You can see in this concept in the earlier classes, I think in the 7th classes or 8th classes. And what is chemical change? What is physical change? So that is just related to what is chemical reaction. So this chemical reaction is associated with chemical change. Whenever a chemical change occurs, that is chemical reaction. So you can say that chemical reaction means that actually a chemical change. So it is, that in physical change and chemical change, the chemical change is a irreversible change and new products are formed during the chemical change. So that will be applicable in the chemical reaction because you know that chemical change is a chemical reaction. So chemical reaction is irreversible. That means you can't reverse back. You can't get it back. Suppose once the reaction happened, you can't get it back. So that is a irreversible reaction and new products formed during chemical reaction. So, in chemically, you can say during the chemical reaction, you know that all the chemical compounds made up of chemical bonds. You have discussed, you have learned in the ninth standard science what is chemical bond. The bond, the attraction between the atoms of the molecules. That is a chemical bond. So, during the chemical reaction, old chemical bonds are broken and new chemical bonds are formed. This is, you can say, chemically. Suppose somebody will ask what is chemical reaction. So you just say it's a irreversible change, it's a chemical, new products are formed like that. But chemically you can say that new bonds are formed after the broken of the old bonds. Okay, so that is chemical reaction. So here you can see, suppose there is a change, there is a reaction. Is that chemical reaction or not? How can you find out it's a chemical reaction or not? So you can see the slides. So suppose if there is a reaction, the following four or any one of the four occur in the reaction. That's a chemical reaction. Change in color. So suppose there is a reaction. After the reaction, the change of color you can see. That is a chemical reaction. Evolution of gas, change in temperature, and change in the state. So these are the signs of chemical reactions. So one is what? Change in color, evolution of gas is a very important question. So what are the signs of chemical reaction? Change in color, evolution of gas, change in temperature, and change in the state. Okay, state, you know that, yes, these are the five main signs of chemical. The chemical reaction by using symbols and formulae. Suppose you are using symbols and formulae, you're denoting the chemical reaction, so that is a chemical equation. Okay, for example, here I couldn't show the slide, no problem, so you can write it down. When magnesium burns with oxygen to form magnesium oxide, magnesium burns with oxygen to form magnesium oxide. So this is a chemical reaction. Why it's a chemical reaction? There are reactant, there are new products are formed, and you must know your teachers maximum in many schools they show you very simple chemical reaction. So in the lab and the class also, so the teachers can show this type of chemical reaction. So here, suppose I am saying statement. Now I can convert the statement to chemical word equation, like what magnesium plus oxygen it gives, that is a arrow mark, magnesium oxide. Now you can convert this as a chemical equation. What is chemical equation? You can convert the word equation into chemical equation by using symbols and formulae. Formulae is here plural of formula. So symbols and formulae. Okay, so students, first of all, magnesium, the symbol of magnesium is Mg, you know that. The formula of oxygen gas is O2, you know that. So you can, the left hand side you can write Mg plus O2, it gives, that is arrow mark, and the formula of the magnesium oxide is MgO. Okay, so you are writing, you please note it down in your notes. Mg plus O2 it gives, that is arrow mark sign, MgO. Okay, so this is the chemical equation. So you are converting the statement, the reaction, the statement into symbol and formula. You are using symbol and formula, you are converting the, yes. Now, characteristics of chemical equations. So you can see the slide now, and the previous slides I couldn't show, no problem. So characteristics of chemical equation. First of all, the equation contains symbols and formulae, that you know that, of the reactants and the products. So you must remember that the substances going to take part in the chemical reaction, which represent in the left hand side, are known as reactants, and the substances are produced. A new substances are formed in the chemical reaction is known as products, which you can see in the right hand side of the arrow mark. Okay, yes, so you can see the symbols and the correct symbols and formulae of the reactants and the products. So these are one of the characteristics, and the conditions also. Suppose for some reactions you have to heat the reactants. In some reaction you have to cool the reactants. Okay, so these are the conditions. So the conditions also you can mention just above the arrow mark. Suppose you want to heat the chemical reaction, you can put the condition. Okay, yes. So then any catalyst. So here I want to give a question, what is catalyst? So this also you have learned in the previous classes. Please find out the answer and write it in your notes. I am not going to tell the answer here. You have to find out. That is a way of learning. Learning process is just I am going to give everything. That is not a learning process. You have to find out the answers. Okay, that is a thing. Okay, so here catalyst. Suppose catalysts are used in the chemical reaction or not, that also you can mention in your chemical equation. That also you can mention down or up of the arrow mark. Okay, then the one more important point is the law of conservation of mass must be satisfied. So please refer your 9th standard science, law of conservation of mass. That also you have to go to your home, find out the 9th science, and find what is the law of conservation of mass, and write it down in your notes. What is the law of conservation of mass? Okay, so what I am going to give a small hint of the law of conservation of mass. So during the chemical reaction, the mass will be conserved. That means the reactant mass should be equal to product mass. To satisfy the law of conservation of mass, you are going to balance the chemical reaction. So here the balancing is very important. Okay, so you can see this next slide. Yeah, okay. So without balancing, the chemical equation is known as skeleton equation. So I already told you the magnesium react with oxygen to form magnesium oxide. What is the skeleton equation? Mg plus O2, it gives MgO. That is a skeleton equation. Why it is skeleton equation? Because the reactant side, number of atoms in the reactant side, okay, the reactants is not equal to number of atoms in the product. So that you can mention. See here, suppose my skeletal equation is like this. You can note it down in your notes. Mg plus O2, it gives MgO. So in Mg, 1 Mg in the left side, and O2, how many O are there? 2. So 1 Mg and 2 O. And the right hand side, 1 Mg and 1 O. It is not balanced. So you are going to balance. To balance this, you have to put 2 before MgO. Now it is Mg2 and O2, but in the left hand side 1 Mg 2O. So you have to put 2 before Mg. Now Mg also 2, O also 2 in the left hand side, and the right hand side Mg also 2, O also 2. So this is a very simple method, hit and trial method. So in many equations you are going to use the hit and trial method only. So that is the simple way of balancing chemical equation. So first of all, chemical equation should be balanced. Why it should be balanced? To satisfy the law of conservation of mass. Okay, so now in your book many examples are there. So please students, you go to your home and try to balance without seeking help of the elders or teachers. You you use the hit and trial method. Okay, so that way you can balance, you try to balance the chemical equation. Okay, so the here it's the example, the animation and the example is there in the unbalanced and balanced chemical equation. And here H2 react with chlorine, it gives HCl. That means hydrogen react with chlorine to form hydrogen chloride. Okay, so here it is unbalanced because it is showing in the seesaw. And if you see the next side, right hand side, so you can put 2 before HCl in the right hand side, it should be balanced. So this is a hit and trial method. Some students write table and put, and some students divide left hand side, right hand side, and put the number of reactants, number of atoms in the reactant and product. So whatever but the method is hit and trial method. Here one more example is there. Methane react with oxygen to form carbon dioxide in water. So this also, see left hand side reactants, carbon 1 atom, hydrogen 4 atoms, and oxygen 4 atoms. And how can you balance that in the right hand side? So this method is known as hit and trial methods. So students, you must know that, you must understand. See, my teaching method is I am trying to understand the whole concept. So I am not going to tell you what are the questions and answers you are going to learn to get marks. So that is not my priority. My priority is you have to understand the concept. So we can see that yeah, we will discuss the next video, the next topic. Okay, so to be continued. Thank you and have a nice day. Thank you very much, students.